Hello, everyone. My name is Veronica Vichet Vatican, and that's a long name. I know you don't have to call me by my full name. You can call me Veronica or V or Triple V. Any of those works for me. I am a reference librarian here at PCC. I'm based at the Cascade campus, but I also teach online classes. And what I and the rest of the librarians at PCC do is help students connect with the information that they need for their school assignments. So, what I'm doing today for this class is talking to you a little bit about how to find the sources you need to complete your history assignment and hopefully give you a broader view of what the library has to offer for this class and beyond. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Oh, before I get started, let me just say I'm going to go through some of these topics and some of these ideas a little bit quickly. And part of that's because there's just a lot to cover, but also because what I really want you to do is make an appointment with me and so that we can talk through your assignment and I can give you specific suggestions for where to look, how to read the different documents you're finding, how to evaluate what you're finding, and how to put it together. So, really have a mind to not doing this all on your own, but think about making an appointment with me and working through your assignment. So, this is just an introduction to give you a taste of what's available and give you an idea of how to understand how to navigate our library, both online and in person, mostly online though. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen and, oh, sorry, hang on one second. All right, here's my slideshow. And that's my cat, Chickpea. And she's going to talk to you today about researching like a boss because she is a boss. She's the boss of this house anyway. Um, okay, I'm sorry. She's not actually going to talk to you today, but she would love to. She's actually standing right here next to me, and we'll probably butt in on the screen at some point. Um, but what we're going to talk about today is researching and how to think about research, and then how to actually do it with the tools that the library has. So the plan for today, let me get to the plan for today's screen. We have an outline of different subjects I want to get to today in this presentation. And before I get there, let me just say that is my other cat. His name is Leonard, and he's a big sweetie. So the plan for today is first to talk about just generally how the library can help you, because we have so many resources that you can take advantage of in this class and in any other class and throughout your career here at PCC. It will really make your college life so much easier and better if you know how to use the library and librarians and make the most out of this resource that is available to you. Then next, we're going to talk just generally about what is research. I mean, like we use that word all the time, but what do we really mean when we're talking about it in terms of studying history and writing history? It's a slightly different meaning. Finally, well, not finally, next, we'll talk about developing keywords and how to really get started with your research. Then we'll talk about how to use some specific library databases. And I think those of you who were able to fill out that survey with your paper topics and your questions, that was really great, super helpful, because I'm going to use some of those topics in my presentation. So I'm going to use those examples. So that means that you are getting some free extra research by watching this video and seeing what I say about your topic. And finally, I'm going to say a few words about how you tell if a source is credible. So that's such a big, important thing, especially nowadays with so much misinformation out there on the web. You really need to have a system in place for knowing how to tell when a source is a good source or not. Okay. And not just a good source, but one that's appropriate for college level research. Oh, here comes my cat. She is already here to barge in. I don't know if you can see her. She is. Say hi. Okay, I'm gonna put her down now. All right. So first of all, I'm going to talk about how the library can help you. Um, so we have a library website. I put the address here, the website address, but you can also just Google PCC Library and you'll probably find it. We have lots of ebooks, videos, articles, all of them are available through the library website. Now, some of these databases and things I'm going to tell you about through this presentation you need to access through the library website all of the databases, the catalog, things like JSTOR or EBSCO or Gale. These are names of databases. You have to go through the library website because that's how you log in with your MyPCC and you get access. If you just Google JSTOR database, you'll get a website, but you won't have access to the materials there. Okay. So PCC library website, that's very important. And I'm going to go ahead and click on this so I can show you a few other things. If you have a question while you're working at home, and you just want a quick answer, we do have this chat feature on our website. And it looks like nobody is online right at this moment, but usually I'm recording this on Sunday, and that's why there's no one online right now. But usually this will be a chat window, and you can chat with one of the librarians at PCC and get really quick answers to your question. So it might be me, it might be one of my colleagues, but we're here actually staffing this chat. If you come to this chat box and it looks like this and it says we're offline, but you can open lib answers chat, that is a broader service that's available on the weekends and after hours that's staffed by other librarians at other schools around the world. Librarians everywhere love research and are very happy to help you find what you need. You can ask them, but so, usually it's nicer to ask a PCC librarian just because we are more familiar with the specific classes and what the requirements are and what we have subscriptions to. But that is an option if you're working late at night or on the weekends. Yeah, so that's an option there. We also have email as an option if you wanted to write that out a little bit more. And the other thing I want to show you is how to make a research help appointment. So a research help appointment is a one-on-one appointment with a librarian, a PCC librarian. And typically it's over Zoom. You can also do it in person if you prefer. I'm going to click here under shortcuts where it says research help appointments. Okay. So let's say you want to make an online appointment. I'm going to click on that. And so, for example, here are Monday's appointments. I'm going to click on that and pick one of these times. Pick whatever time works for you, maybe 5:30 in the afternoon. And then you fill out these details with your information. Make sure you're spelling your email correctly because that's where the Zoom link will go and the reminder will go. And then down here, click confirm appointment, and you should immediately get a confirmation of your appointment. So what this appointment is an opportunity for you to talk with a research expert, that's a librarian, about your topic. So you'll have the opportunity to work one-on-one with a librarian who really understands our subscriptions and our resources, and you can work together to get exactly what you need. Now, these appointments that I'm showing you right now are with all of the librarians at PCC. If you want to make an appointment specifically with me, I will share a link with you on how to do that a little bit later. Okay, so that is the PCC library website. Okay, so those are the ways you can get help. In some ways, that's the most important thing I can tell you right now is how to reach out to the library and get that support that you need. So remember that. And most importantly, just remember that the library is here to support you. We're here to make your experience in college smoother, easier, less frustrating, a little quicker, and better quality. Students who work with librarians and use library resources get better grades and tend to finish their classes feeling more satisfied and have better graduation rates and all of that. So really take advantage of that support that's here for you. All right. So now we're going to get into how you do research, like how do you start and what is it really about? So I like to say that research is really about having an open and curious mind. It's not about necessarily finding a specific answer. It's about exploring. Um, and a lot of times I talk to students who have a preconceived notion about what they want to say or what something means or why something happened. And it's fine to have that idea in your head. But if you try to find information that only confirms what you already think, you're not really doing the research. You should be exploring and thinking of different perspectives and different possibilities. And if you see something that challenges you, lean into it and see what it's about. Like, where is that coming from? It doesn't necessarily mean you have to change your mind, but seeing more facets of a topic will really make you understand it better, give you a deeper understanding of what it is that you're researching. Oops. And then the next slide is, so what are different kinds of sources? Because when you're researching, probably what you think of as research is primarily like Google researching, right? So you put in some keywords into Google, you get a bunch of websites. So that's one kind of source, but there are lots of different kinds of sources, even within like internet um, searches. So here are some examples of different kinds of resources, but there are so many more. So the examples I'm giving here are of academic journals, also called peer-reviewed journals. So those are like scholarly papers, scholarly articles. We've got books, newspapers, popular magazines, primary sources like a diary, something that's made from a person who lived through whatever event it is that you're talking about. Um, there are things like photographs and videos. Those are also potential sources, and they could come from the time that you're studying, or they could come from now. There are lots of possibilities. And the strongest research work that you can write is based on lots of different kinds of sources. So if you're finding that you're using just journal articles or just newspaper articles, think about other kinds of sources you can use, because using those different types of things that might have different perspectives or different reasons for, publishing what they're publishing, um, that will really make your assignments and your research so much stronger. Since we're talking about history research, in addition to the different types of sources, there are also different conceptual types of sources too, right? So you probably already read about this. There are in history research, there are primary sources and secondary sources. And this has a very specific meaning when you're studying history. When you're talking about history documents and you're talking about primary sources, you're talking about documents created at the time that give a first-hand view of the topic. And you have to do your own analysis, because you can't, you have to think about it a little bit. If you get someone's diary or a letter that someone wrote that's talking about a particular topic or a particular event, you have to use your perspective with distance, because that person doesn't have the perspective of distance, because they were right there and they were doing the thing or witnessing whatever event they're talking about. So you're going to do your own analysis. And this can be really fun, right? This is like one of the most fun parts of history research is digging through different sources and finding these original old artifacts and bringing your own perspective and thoughts to it. And then there are secondary sources. So what we mean by secondary sources when we're talking about history is materials that are written typically by historians or other people, other thinkers who want to talk about the topic that happen after the event. So they've got some time perspective and they can look back and think about what happened and do a little bit of analysis. Um, Secondary sources are everywhere. You know, anytime you Google something like you know, I don't know, the history of the French Revolution, everything, you know, most of the things you're going to read online, those are secondary sources because there are people now or, you know, now-ish writing about a topic that happened a long time ago. But what I want to talk to you about today is primarily about library database secondary sources, because those sources are the ones that have been vetted. We subscribe to these journals specifically because they're good sources for college level work, right? So you're doing this college level work, and we've selected these specific journals, these materials to help you get good information for your work. A lot of those journals are peer reviewed, which is a very rigorous process in which multiple people review an article, make comments, they go back for editing, they go back for more review. It's a long back and forth process that's very labor intensive, but has the advantage of being very, very credible, very trustworthy, and something that you can really use and understand. Okay, so that's primary, secondary sources. One other thing I wanted to mention are media sources. So we have a ton of streaming documentary videos in our library database, and a lot of them are on historical topics. And you can use those. They're often a mix of primary and secondary sources. So, you know, they may use some photographs or original audio or video from an event, but then they also have commentary on top of that. So it's descriptive analysis with documentation combined. Very useful sometimes. So remember to think about those media sources. All right, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. So where should I look? So where do you look for these materials? I've been talking a lot about the library databases, and I talked a little bit about Google. I just want to say a little bit about what the difference between the library databases and Google is. So this is the metaphor I like to use. Library databases are like a swimming pool, and Google is like the open ocean. And what I mean by that is that they both have water and they both are places you can swim. But the library databases are a little bit smaller, a little bit more, you know, confined, restricted. But they're, and you might think like, well, that's so much smaller than the ocean. That's no good. But you know, as far as like getting things done and getting your swimming done or getting your research done, the library databases are really much more efficient because they're cleaned, they're orderly, they're you know what the rules are. It's easy to find your lane. There is a lifeguard on duty in case you get in trouble. Whereas, you know, the Google is like an ocean that you could just jump in and start swimming, but it's really easy to get lost. And there are lots of potential dangers out there. There's no one looking out for you. But of course, it has a lot more stuff. So they're both good, they're both valuable, but just a little bit different.